Hello.
Hey everyone, we were trying to plan a fun little coffee drink right there in the beginning. Um, so this is Mike Bruce with Life Starts with Food, and I am back with a good friend of mine, Mikey Garasic. You probably, if you've watched a lot of these, you remember him from I don't know, a handful of episodes back where we talked about brain health and brain fog, and just some of the issues that people like you and I have gone through in our life, and people that have it a lot worse than we do with brain health too. So today, I wanted to have him come on and talk about fasting and cellular autophagy. We had somebody talk about fasting as well, but like one of my favorite things to do is to get like 10 different viewpoints on a topic. I really enjoy that, and that's one of the best ways for me to learn personally is to always just keep getting new viewpoints. And there's so many intricacies of fasting with Chad, who we had on the first time. His was more for body composition, weight loss, building muscle while fasting. And what we're going to talk about today is more of the health side of fasting, which we covered a little bit, but kind of the cellular regeneration, longevity aspects, and cellular autophagy. We're both big fans of Dr. Pompa, and Mikey, you are even more versed than I am with Dr. Pompa and his work on on fasting. So, yeah. So, how are you today, man?
You're pretty good. Sorry if you guys hear a licking sound in the background. I distracted my dog with a peanut butter Kong, so
That's nice. That's a good
apologize for any licking going on in the background. But yeah, man, I love Dr. Pompa, and I think he's a great resource for anybody who's interested in diving into like extended fasting even. And I don't know, whoever we're talking to today, maybe we're talking to somebody who's never fasted a day in their life and they're just interested in getting started. So I guess for that person, welcome to the world of fasting. There's so many different things that so many different protocols out there. It's like how can this person find the right one for them, and like where can this person start like today if they wanted to start reaping the benefits? Do you want to like just dive into the benefits first, or do you want to
Yeah,
like dive into some protocols?
I think that's perfect. Let's jump into the benefits of fasting outside of what I talked about in a prior episode with Chad.
Okay.
Outside of the weight loss and even the potential to build muscle, let's jump into the other benefits.
Yeah, I mean, I guess just riffing off of the title of this, we could talk about autophagy a little bit. I'm not super versed on all of the science in autophagy. I'm very basic on my understanding of it, but um, from any hormetic stressor, so any stress that's good for the body, generally autophagy goes hand in hand with that. So like you can experience autophagy from exercise, from sauna, from cold therapy, and fasting. So all of these good stresses for the body.
I guess we should say, what is autophagy?
Yeah, that's what I was
There you
about to
go.
say. What autophagy essentially is just like um, is a programmed cell death, essentially, unless it's apoptosis. But I'm pretty sure.
Apoptosis is the cell death. Autophagy is more the cleaning, but they both go hand in hand.
Yeah, they go together, and it's basically like your body's like reboot button, cleaning house, and eating. Essentially, I think autophagy and the actual like root words is like eating itself or something like
Yeah,
it.
autophagy. Yeah.
Right.
The Latin, and I like. I've heard different examples of like just picture your trash can in the side of the kitchen, and that trash can just starts piling up, and all of a sudden it's falling all over the floor. You clearly just go in and take the bag out sometimes, but what if you don't? It just keeps piling up and starts smelling and all these different things. And that's kind of what happens in our cells with the waste products that our cells create. And even excess proteins. Proteins are supposed to get recycled, and that's part of autophagy. And I'm sure you're going to touch on that. But yeah, like just get rid of the trash can in the corner, clean the trash can out, and that's kind of what we're trying to do with. We don't have to fast constantly, but like
Right.
once a month, twice a month, and you can clean out that trash can pretty well. So, yeah.
So on the once or twice a month, how long do you think a fast would be just for that? I've heard different I've heard different things thrown out. I'm not super versed on the data, but are you a fan of longer fasting if you're doing it once or twice a month?
Yeah, it all depends on the person. So if you're real serious about cleaning out your cells, then I think like a anywhere from a 24-hour fast to a 3-day fast once a month is just great. You know, like it's not needed all that much more. But yeah, I think that's a I think if you did just 1 day a week of dinner to dinner, that's insanely good. That's 24 hours, and you don't even need to do it once a week. Or yeah, you could do it like every other week. So, but it's kind of like, you know, it all boils down to what feels good for you.
For sure. It's just interesting, man. Like we're definitely like designed to fast, and we live in the society of abundance today. So we're kind of living in this era, this post-industrial era, where our biology doesn't really line up with a lot of the things that we see today. So with food on every corner and such easy access, like we are missing this very integral component of being a human, and that's fasting. And there's a reason too. I don't know if we could talk about it today, but I love talking about it. Like why fasting is such a practice throughout almost all of the spiritual practices in the world, and why it's so prevalent, and what it does for you spiritually as well as physically. They go hand in hand.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But yeah,
have we talked about Trent Holbert before? Trent Holbert, Fit for the Kingdom podcast.
I know. I think you told me about him. Yeah.
Yeah. I actually just reached out to him the other day to have him come on and talk about fasting too, because his podcast where he discusses fasting in the Christian faith, it just changed my opinion on fasting for so many. Like I knew it was good, but like for spiritual reasons, holy cow, it was amazing to hear. So let me hear some of your thoughts on fasting for spirituality.
Yeah, I think. Sorry, my dog is now drinking water after all of the peanut butter. So,
as long as we don't hear water running later, that means you have to go clean something up.
Right, exactly. But yeah, I mean, as far as like spiritually speaking, I don't know whether if you're listening to this and maybe you're not super into religion. I'm not super into religion myself. I'm more under the understanding of that we are humans having, so we're spiritual beings having a human experience here on planet Earth, and not only can you care for your physicality, but you can also care for your spirituality as well through different practices. And fasting just happens to be, I think, one of the more profound ones. It's definitely there's a lot to be said with fasting and entering into fasting. There's it's kind of hard to get into, I guess is what I'm trying to say. There's not a low barrier to entry. It's kind of high. But once you like start doing some of these things that you're saying, like scheduling in a 24-hour fast weekly, you know, making it a part of your schedule and just kind of getting accustomed to fasting, you can start prolonging them and doing 5, 7. I want to do this year. My goal is to do like an 11+ day fast where, you know, the spiritual implications is tied into physical. So like understanding like going so long without food and putting God on the forefront of your mind during this fast, you can break free from physical addictions, which also has spiritual implications. You know, like restoring your mind and your body through fasting also restores you spiritually in a sense as well. And I've heard so many stories of just spiritual breakthroughs in different areas of people's lives. We're like, man, like I needed something to shift in my life desperately. And they go on these long fasts and they have a clarity and a peace of mind. And, you know, I mean, if we look at all of these ancient texts in the Bible is one of the most interesting books ever. You know, I think Jesus was able to do his ministry in the capacity that he did, his powerful ministry that he had, because he went on a fast prior to his ministry, 40 days, 40 nights in the desert. And he went and he was battling the devil in a sense. And, you know, like if you were to go on a long-term fast, you're going to be battling the devil in your head when it comes to not eating, you know, because we have fridges full of food. We have such easy access to food nowadays. So you're strengthening your no muscles. And I think anything that you can do to put yourself into stressful situations where, like hormetic stress, like we were talking about earlier, beneficial stress for the body, you're strengthening your body and your mind to be able to handle stress at a higher capacity. So like when you go an 11-day fast, hopefully I'm not getting long-winded on this, but when you go on an 11-day plus fast and you are essentially going into a starvation mode at a certain point, little things in life become way less irritable to you. Like nothing else little, like all of the people at work that you don't like, all these little things, just like they don't even compare to the amount of stress that you're putting your body through. So you're kind of just training your nervous system in a sense, through fasting, through cold therapy, through sauna, all these different things, exercise. You're training heart rate variability, you know. And I think that's a great way to start implementing things to help you with stress resiliency in a sense.
And I do not recommend someone just jumping into a 3-day fast. Heck, I don't even recommend somebody jumping right into a 1-day fast. I think you should do a lot of like 12 hours, 16 hours, like go to bed. You stop eating at 6 p.m., start eating again at lunch the next day. That's 16, 18 hours. Do those a little bit, then try a 24-hour fast after like 5 or 6 of those. But I can guarantee you on a 5-day fast, you will never feel happier. You probably have never felt happier in your life and more blissful than you will on day 3 or 4, just period. Because you have allergies to something. You just do. If you have any sort of depression or anxiety of any kind, and you start doing a fast, it just all the stressors that are affecting your body on a daily basis that you have to fight and go through, they actually fall away because it's coming through food. If you're just drinking water and maybe coffee, it goes away. For some people, they'd have to drop coffee too. I usually drop coffee after day 2 because coffee helps me get through the hunger for the first 2 days. And I'll use bulletproof coffee even for the first day or 2. But I've made it to 4 days a couple times. I was on 5. I was going to go for 7. And a big event came up like that I got invited to. And I was like, well, I'm not going to go to this, like 6-course tasting with wine and all this other stuff and not enjoy myself. So I broke a 5.5-day fast with something like that, which is not recommended either. But it was a terrific night. But you guys just don't understand the mental clarity and like calm bliss, if that makes sense. Like you feel tweaked because your body is like in full ketosis more than you've ever been. So you feel a little tweaked, but you are so calm about it. Tweaked, like you feel tons of energy without having any food. So
I mean that only makes sense, right? Ancestrally, without food, your body has to kind of help you on the energy front to find your next kill, to find your next harvest and whatnot. So yeah, dude, I love everything that you're saying. And I think it's so crucial to talk about things like this, because just understanding like your body's innate intelligence and its own ability to heal itself, as long as it just doesn't have to focus on digestion constantly, it can apply that energy elsewhere.
You might know this. Is it like 70% of your energy goes to digestion?
I've heard that before. Different numbers like that. It's definitely a high number. So if you can take say it is 70%, if you can take 70% of the energy that it takes to do something in your body and put it towards healing, just imagine what that can do to your brain, to your anything that might just be suffering. Maybe you have some type of autoimmunity. Your body's just overactive immune system. It's fighting itself. And just giving your body the chance to heal is like super awesome. And then we can talk about like the weight loss aspect of it, but that's kind of like boring just in comparison to like everything that this can do for you.
Let's jump back to the right after the trash can analogy too. So like the trash can analogy, some of those things that are piling up in the trash can of our cell, or as Kelly said, the compost pile. She says the compost pile, your body breaks down waste and makes your body healthier. That's a really good way to look at it too. It decomposes and reutilizes these nutrients. So that's a really good example. But like our proteins, our body takes old dirty proteins that are broken down and not working right, and they just get put away in the cell until we detox them. So we're able to recycle them too, which means if you stop eating protein, if you stop eating all foods, your body will recycle the damaged proteins, clear out more of the cells, and make these damaged proteins new again.
Sure.
How cool is that?
Very cool.
Do you know about Dr. Fung and the Complete Guide to Fasting?
Yes. Yeah, I've read his book, Diabetes Code.
Yeah. So Dr. Fung has never had a patient that required any skin removal surgeries. He does not have a patient that has any stretch marks.
Yeah.
I have stretch marks.
Yeah, I do too, actually.
Dude, but he uses fasting, 30, 40, 50 days of fasting, slowly recycles the skin, slowly pulls away these things. He has people go 300 days fasting sometimes. So
for sure, yeah, I've seen the study on the obese gentleman that went an entire year just on water, so that goes to show you that we have calories that we're not accessing readily if we're not metabolically flexible. And even like for lean guys like us, like we still have like 20 to 40,000 calories that we can tap into on our body. So imagine if you're obese in a sense, and if you just think of fat as stored energy on your body, because that's really what its function is, then you have so much, so many nutrients and so many calories that you can tap into. So there's this guy, he's very crude, and his methodology is a little out there, but I like a lot of what he has to say. So it's the snake diet guy. If you've ever heard, he's crazy, man. He's
a genius, though. I mean, the guy really is intelligent.
Yeah. So I don't know, however he markets himself, he likes to curse a lot. So if you look him up, just be ready for that. So he likes to yell at you and get you, and like it's some sort of like boot camp kind of thing. But his methodology is cool, and he comes up with a snake juice recipe. It's just mineral water for your fast, and he says if you have fat on your body, just stop eating and just go until like you like don't have more fat on your body, essentially. And he's like, if you need to refeed like once a week, once every few days or something, and you just don't have to eat as much as you think, especially if you're overweight.
And you're right. He is very crude. But that's his market. And he literally has never charged anybody for coaching. He does not charge people for coaching. Yeah.
I know that.
But he has requirements. So you have to post your before picture in your underwear for a 10,000 person Facebook group for everybody to see. And like, so he makes a couple bucks off of snake juice. And he's like, but why would you buy this when you can make it? Stop being lazy. He's like screaming at people. That's his whole shtick, is just MFing people and screaming at them. So. But I've heard him on a couple, I'm trying to think the shows that I heard him on, but he is just, when he stops talking that way, he is just really intelligent.
Yeah.
So, but thanks for bringing him up. I actually, I would love to interview him, but I don't know how I'd have him on here because I don't like swearing on stuff. So, we got Chris Pryor. Oh, Chris is just so friendly all the time.
Mike.
So, something that came up when we were talking about fat. Chris reminded me of this recently, and our friend Erin Powers that was on here before, she loves fat. She loves body fat, and she's changed my mind into like, this body fat is something that's so beautiful, so amazing. And I kind of realized the other day, if we don't have body fat, living in the toxic world we do today, we would just fall over dead. And that's a hypothesis. We wouldn't last very long because there's so many chemical, industrial toxins, environmental toxins, everything. That's the only place our body is able to safely store toxins, is in our fat. So if we're so angry with fat all the time, like, it's saving your life. It is saving your life. People that are really big, that really have trouble losing weight, it's because they have a lot of toxicity in their body sometimes. When you hit these plateaus, it's your body saying, holy crap, dude, we need to take a break because I got to figure out where to shuffle these toxins to. Or we just have to be fully prepared to just drop these toxins and feel like garbage for a few days. So I'm in love with fat, man. Like body fat, I have a total different viewpoint on it now, and it's just so cool. We should love every part of us because it all has a reason. But I think even with some of the energy work I do, I'm starting to realize that our fat itself, our adipose tissue, literally has its own kind of like the heart is the seat of the subconscious in our body. I think the fat is also part of that. I really do, and I'm not sure what has brought that up in the last like week, but it's just making more sense to me that the fat has a mind of its own in a great way. And like, holy cow, is that weird, right? Like, how is that even a thing?
Yeah, no, I definitely heard like the fat has its own intelligence in a certain way.
Yeah.
I haven't dived too much into that, but you brought up something that going back onto Dr. Pompa, our fat does store a lot of toxins. So when you do fast, some of that can get recycled into your bloodstream. So he has a product called Cyto Detox.
Yeah,
You could take charcoal, but he has a lot of binders in this from a lot of different places. And if you accompany fasting to Cyto Detox as well, you'll capture a lot of those toxins before they recycle into your bloodstream. Because really, like if you feel terrible and really crappy on a fast, this is probably the reason why, is that your body is recycling a lot of these toxins through your bloodstream again.
Yeah, and I thought I'd bring up the page, but it's just an article about his Cyto Detox product. But I mean, yeah, this is in the industry, in the detoxing industry, this is the product that comes up more than anyone I've ever seen. I wish I had a picture of just the bottle. I'm not sure why it's but anyways, I can find that later. So
yeah, I'm actually probably going to end up buying some for the 11-day fast that I want to do this year.
That's a terrific idea. I had some that I got in a biohack box, and I held on to it, didn't bother with it. And then I went through a detox protocol with my doctor. So I just added that in, a couple drops several times a day. And I think it really did, because I've detoxed a couple different times, like different stages of my health journey. I've done mild detoxes. And you always have a little bit of, you might get grumpy, you might get headaches and tension in your neck. And that's all happened to me in the past. And it didn't happen at all the last time. And I was detoxing some heavy metals. So that was really nice. Maybe I was edgy. I'd have to ask Kim. She's, poor woman's the one that has to deal with me every time I go through something. But
Desi as well, my wife.
Yeah. They are angels. Kelly, if you're still watching, do you have anything to add to this? And Chris, you as well. Oh yeah, Kelly's got something here. Electrolytes are helpful. Yeah, electrolytes are huge during a fast, and that's what we were talking about with the snake diet guys. That his electrolytes are what really help people out. But the whole thing with the snake diet is snakes eat like one giant meal, like equivalent for a human, it'd be like 4 pounds of meat in one day, and like maybe some fruit, and then you don't eat again until you're hungry, which is gonna be a couple of days sometimes if you eat like that, which is really interesting. So it's so neat to see pictures of that guy's transformations in 2 weeks with people. So
yeah, it's really interesting, and it just reminded me of a fasting protocol that I find interesting. Something that I've been wanting to try is alternate day fasting. Where you just cycle through feasting and fasting, where you skip an entire day of eating, and then you would just have a normal day of eating. If you normally do breakfast, lunch, dinner, the following day, and then the following day fast, and then the following day breakfast, lunch, dinner. Different things like that kind of like incorporate it into your weekly schedule, where you don't really have to think about it anymore. It's kind of just running on autopilot. I think that's awesome. And I guess for your brand new listeners, or brand new to health in general, I don't really know what your audience is like, but if you're brand new to this and you want to start developing metabolic flexibility and fasting more, just for all of the amazing health benefits, definitely like lowering carbohydrates below 50. for an extended season before, maybe a week or two,
Mhm.
before you would do anything longer than 24 hours.
It's great advice.
Yeah, it's really hard. Like in the past, when I heard about fasting, I was still pretty like addicted to carbs, and I would try and fast, and I would have the hardest time switching fuel sources,
Mhm.
and my body would just be really upset with me. But if you're already burning fat as fuel, your body can easily transition into burning its own endogenous fat
Yeah.
when it comes to fasting.
Yeah, I kind of recommend a couple different things in that route. Like um, the whole system approach. Take like a whole month of just slowly just getting junk food out and American diet food out, and then just slowly start, over a month's time, start instead if you're eating a sweet potato every night and like hash for breakfast and stuff like that, just slowly start pulling out, the carbs from one meal a day, and then from 2 meals a day, keep it down to like one meal total. And then, maybe the week right before you start fasting for real, do no carbs in most of your meals, like nothing more than maybe a few berries and dark chocolate or something like that here and there. And that really gets your body ready to go into a full ketosis, full fast, which without the pain and misery of being so hungry and so addicted to carbohydrates. So, yeah, I think and then other people, they're just like, nope, I'm going to do some intermittent fasting for 3 days and get my body prepped that way and just deal with some pain, deal with the issues. And it's for everybody, it's so different. And I'm an all in kind of guy every time.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm just like, nope, I'm going to go right now. I'm going to get into this. So,
Yeah, what are your thoughts on exogenous ketone supplementation during fasts, or even MCT?
I got some in my coffee right now, because I think it's really important to be on top of your game when you're talking with friends online in a public space. And for me, my brain fog, I have a much better chance of not having brain fog and losing words whenever I have a little bit of exogenous ketones. But I really love naturally. Exogenous means outside the body, so it's a supplement. Endogenous means your body creates it. So exogenous ketones are just a little powder you can add to your coffee, to your water, whatever. I think for getting over the hump and learning what ketosis feels like, I think fasting with ketones is terrific. I think just using ketones and MCT oil in general, when you first start a diet that's going to be lower carb, is amazing. It can get you over that hump. It can get you past the low carb flu, but electrolytes also matter a lot with that. And ketones have electrolytes in them usually, but yeah, I think that's terrific. What do you think on that?
Yeah, I agree, especially on the electrolytes. That's something that I forgot about. But when you initially start any type of ketogenic approach, you are cycling out a lot of electrolytes through your pee, and bringing some of those back in while you are getting over the hump, as you said, I think is key. And yeah, I've never actually done any exogenous ketones. I always have. They're pretty expensive.
Yeah.
MCT I've done a lot though. It's actually a pretty regular part of my diet, and that's a lot easier to attain price wise. But yeah, just make sure you don't do too much MCT right out of the gate. I learned that the hard way when I got into the world of MCT.
Might be driving down the road and have to immediately find a tree to lean up against, and disaster pants are not fun.
Man, you just described my first experience on it.
So with electrolytes, what do you like to use for electrolytes?
So I'm a huge fan of either Celtic sea salt or Redmond sea salt, but just like a pinch of that, man. You can buy like trace mineral supplement.
Yeah.
But
why, when you can just, like the Redmond and the Celtic are just great.
There's already so many trace minerals in that.
Yeah. So. Yeah. And that's literally all my clients, anybody at the office. That's what I tell them all is, I buy both of those because when one stops tasting good, I take a pinch of the other one, and that tastes amazing. And
do you use both of those salts as well?
Yeah. So it goes back and forth. It'll be like 1 month of loving Redmond, and I just like put a pinch on my tongue one day, and I go, oh, that's horrible. And I'll take a pinch of the Celtic chunky gray salt, and it tastes like the world has blown up into heaven. Like it's so good. So I'll actually tell clients when they're first starting out to take a 16-ounce glass of water, put like a quarter teaspoon of one of those salts in, stir it up. And if they barely taste it, add more, keep adding more until it tastes gross, then back it off. I want them to be able to taste. What's that?
If you're fasting or just in general?
Just in general, starting out, I want them to be able to taste it.
Okay.
And because you really need the electrolytes in the beginning, especially with fasting. So yeah, that's why. Kelly, hi, my name is Mike, and I eat salt.
Thanks, Kelly.
We have an AA course here. Yeah, what's the dog's name?
River.
Everybody, this is River. Jackson stays out of the room, but so does the wife. I turn the AC off and everything whenever I'm doing these.
I would love to keep River out of the room, but the problem with living in a studio apartment is there's literally no room.
Yeah.
Other than this giant one.
I only keep him out because if he starts barking, there's no way to make him stop until he sees that no one's at the door. So
okay. Yeah.
I feel like we had a couple more things to talk about with fasting and like the autophagy side of things. But I'm not really sure. I mean, we covered a lot. We covered detoxing while you're fasting. We covered the energy that your body can reproduce. We covered recycling of proteins. We covered that your skin can actually, if you're fasting long enough, it can actually eat up excess skin because that's excess proteins. And my goodness, where else do we go from here?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, dude, like for anybody listening that just wants to like just start dipping their toe in this, that's where my mind constantly goes to, is just that person that I always imagine somebody just like they're at the end of their rope and they're like, man, what do I do? Like, I feel terrible. I have so much brain fog and I'm depressed, anxious, I'm overweight. How do I get started into this? And it's just, the simple answer is you need to just start like today, tomorrow, and just start by simply just skipping breakfast. Don't overcomplicate things. That's what I tend to do when I get into things, but just keeping it really simple. You can just skip your first meal of the day, eat lunch, eat dinner, rinse and repeat, and just do that for a week, see how you feel. And then obviously you can continue to start ramping that up as time goes on. But yeah, man, I mean, as far as like just all the benefits that come along with fasting, it's so fascinating. And I enjoy fasting from a physical and spiritual standpoint. And I think anybody that wants just that ultimate reboot button, fasting is definitely like a great answer. And I love what Dr. Pompa talks about too. He gets into like the days of fasting. I can't quote all of it, but I'm familiar with day 5 of fasting. You actually get a giant surge in HGH, human growth hormone. So he said like he always talk about like his sons, like they're always putting on muscle and stuff. And like one of the reasons why his sons wanted to do a fast was because his dad told him like, oh, you can actually put on more muscle from going on this extended fast.
Yeah.
And he said he tested out and it worked, because like your body's kind of fighting for who wants to play.
Yeah.
Your body's just fighting for survival, and it's going to do whatever it can so that you can find that next meal. So the surge in HDH makes sense to me. And in today's society, in today's modern world, if you want to take advantage of that so that you can put on some extra pounds of muscle, that makes sense too. So that's really cool.
And what's neat is the surge is it's very likely that it's to preserve not just muscle mass, but organ tissue. So like we're doing it intentionally so that when you do eat again and when you do work out, your body has this like explosive rebound that gives you more. Because what starts happening, I think, is your body starts saying, well, I need to make sure I have a little extra muscle on me for next time this happens. Just like when you do sprints, how do I, like the body goes, holy cow, I was getting chased by something. How do I get faster next time? I have to lose fat and I have to build muscle. I have to put muscle on. I need to be lighter, but with more muscle. Yeah. So that's what sprints do. That's kind of what fasting does.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. And it's so interesting in our modern day like consciousness, really to be able to put that in perspective, like it's biohacking at like a very fundamental level, and understanding that ancestrally just makes so much sense for the body to do what it's doing today. If you don't, I put everything into context through the ancestral lens. Because if you don't, then you're like, why does the body do that? Why this doesn't make any sense. But if you think of it from like a microevolutionary point of view, it makes so much sense. So sprints and fasting, people are just, they're kind of misled, and they think that if you fast for an extended amount of time, your body's gonna tap into muscle. Which at a certain point, I'm sure it will, but it's going to exhaust all other efforts before it's going to do that.
Exactly. And my favorite thing to tell people is if our body just fell apart after 2 days of not eating, how did we survive as a human species?
Sure.
So we are so far removed. It's the same way that like weird medical myths and facts all become reality based on modern dogma, because like, we've been so far removed, 50 years removed from the truth of something, and all of a sudden that truth is wacky. But the false statement that was given to us is now truth.
Yeah.
But none of the science supports it. So like 100 years removed from using electric in medicine, which my buddy Theo is going to be on Friday talking a little bit about this, 100 years removed from that, and now all of a sudden using petroleum-based pills is the only way to cure things, using food for medicine, in like Hippocrates and all these other guys, food is thy medicine, whoever said that, they just knew these things, and we're so far removed. Chinese medicine, traditional Chinese medicine, acupuncturist could just see the energy, and they knew where the meridians were because they could see it and feel it. But we're so far removed from being in tune with our bodies because of all the electric waves and stuff around us now that that's not even a possibility. We don't believe it anymore. But it was not even, you didn't have to believe it. You just saw it, which is really crazy. So
yeah, it is. And I blame Ansel Keys. He's a jerk.
He just ruined it.
Yeah. The guy who 50 plus years ago who said that saturated fat is the cause of heart disease. And it was widely accepted as the go-to dogma for health, and medical systems were built around that. And we're still fighting an uphill battle against that in today's medical systems. Because, like traditional MDs that come up through the medical system, they have amazing hearts, and they just want to help people. They want to become a doctor and a healer. But science has not caught up yet in these systems that are just so dated. So they come out of their training, and they have like only like a few hours out of the thousands of hours, only a few hours on nutrition. And the rest is just how to pop pills and what interacts with what. And, I'm not against allopathic medicine entirely, but it being the mainstream way to healing is very, very, very backwards from how traditionally we have come up as humans. So yeah, man. Yeah.
I heard Chef Pete Evans out of Australia had a Dr. Buttar on the other day, he's a pretty controversial guy, but like several years in a row has been voted top 50 doctor in the US. But his beliefs on some things are pretty controversial. But he said that doctors are essentially donkeys or mules. He said they are incredible workhorses. They will work 30 to 40 hours straight. But he said, just like a mule, they're stubborn idiots. And he said, if they didn't learn it exactly how you're talking about it, it didn't happen. And they won't learn new stuff. They don't stay open-minded. They're just mules. And he said they expect everybody else to work as hard as they do, and be able to do that too. So it was really interesting to hear that, that analogy. And I know the doctor I work for, he is a workhorse, and he doesn't work near as hard as a lot of doctors do in terms of hours. But he's a lot more open-minded than most doctors. But But in terms of like how you work, he's like, nope, this is how you do a job. This is like, you go to work every day, you do this. And I'm like, I don't know. I want to do that. I want to work from home. I want to do this, you know? And so it's always, it's interesting to see the varieties of what we are as humans. And,
yeah,
but well, you got anything else to leave us with? You kind of gave a good start on how to get going. I love the idea of using some MCT oil and some butter to get your first couple fasts off. If you don't have MCT oil, just take real butter, a teaspoon, maybe 2, blend it up in coffee. Use the blender. Always use the blender.
I prefer a country crock.
Oh, don't say that. Don't say that. My biggest question from people when they see that I recommend butter, oh, the country crock, that's the good stuff, right? Like, no, it's not.
The exact opposite.
What's that?
It's the exact opposite of the good stuff.
Opposite. So
I'm still trying to get my mother-in-law off of the country crock, so pray for me.
Man, oh man, we'll get her there. We'll get her. Man, we should just do a whole butter episode, you and I.
There's a lot of good things in butter for sure.
Man, oh man, that'd be fun.
You can teach us how to make butter. I bet you do that with all of the hobbies that you have going on.
I have made butter before, yeah. So I can't drink milk, but I can eat butter. It's interesting. So
I just see you like in an Amish outfit, like with the butter churner, just like in your backyard, like no shoes.
Yeah, I could do that. I mean, I just put it in the blender. Actually, I drained everything, all the liquids off, put it in the blender, and like a half minute later, I had butter. So
use heavy cream.
So yeah, just heavy cream.
Yeah,
but it takes a lot of heavy cream to make butter. So
that's funny. Yeah, man. I don't know if I have much else. It was fun though, getting to talk and connect again.
Yeah, I always like seeing you. We don't see each other enough. If you guys want to check out Mikey's stuff, I noticed you changed up your Instagram page a little bit, and it's all IGTV stuff now. And you just do fun videos, man. I love all your what are they called? Just the fronts of the videos here. You just do a really fun job on how you put things together. So on Instagram you are Mikey Garasic, and on Facebook Mikey J Garasic.
That's right.
All right, guys. Well, that's it. Thanks for tuning in. And Mikey, thanks for joining me, man. I really enjoyed talking to you, and we'll have to get together sometime soon since the world's opening up again. And yeah, we'll have to talk on all those things about that too. So, all right, man. Everybody, you have a great day. Thanks for chiming in.
Thanks, guys.